I think it's like the forgotten frontier of like reclaiming birth, like
Yes.
it's like this is the other frontier that we need to get back. And
you have a lot of control around what you cultivate in the postpartum, far more than the birth.
Holy Wild Birth is a podcast embracing the reclamation of giving birth, rooted in God's original design, undisturbed.
Here, we share homebirth stories highlighting God's presence as the great midwife, as well as conversations about all aspects of a holistic, spirit-led childbearing year. From the perspectives of myself, traditional midwife Lauren Hall of Rooted in Eden Private Contract Association,
and me, holistic doula and birthkeeper Brooke Collier of Sister Birth.
To choose a holy wild birth journey is to consecrate all your decisions unto the Lord.
And to reclaim creation unadulterated by centuries of human attempts to control and improve upon what God has already called good.
Please remember, birth is not a medical event, but a natural process. We are not your care providers, and this should not be taken as medical advice. Welcome back to the Holy Wild Birth podcast. Today we are talking about the postpartum prep, and just the sacred time it is when we meet our babies and rest and recover. We talk a little bit about the why we hold postpartum as a sacred time, as well as some real practical modalities and preparations that you can cultivate in order to really get the most out of your postpartum period. Brooke is also right in the middle of her lying in period, and she so graciously has invited us into her postpartum room to really talk about exactly what that postpartum can feel like. And so I think that you will glean so much, and I hope that it blesses you. Hello, we are back again for another Holy Wild Birth episode, and today we are talking about the postpartum prep and just the lying in period. And I am here with my beautiful, freshly postpartum co-host Brooke, and as you can hear, little Gilbert in the background with all of his input as well. So I'm excited to be talking about this while you are in your postpartum.
Yeah, it's good timing. It is fresh on my mind.
Yeah.
I am on day 11 of my lying in period.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I'm passionate about this topic, even when I'm not in the middle of it myself. I think it's like the forgotten frontier of like reclaiming birth, like
yes.
It's like this is the other frontier that we need to get back. And I like to tell the women I work with, like, planning for your birth without planning for your postpartum is like planning for a wedding without planning for a marriage.
Yes.
It's just as important, maybe more in certain ways.
Yeah. I know as a stepping into grand multip now, it has become what I plan for. Instead of birth, I would plan for the postpartum, because it was what really, it's the thing that we have the most control over, honestly. Like, we don't know when we're going to give birth. We don't know how we're going to give birth. We don't know how, what our body's going to need or who we're going to need in there, or, all of those things. But like your postpartum, that is something that you can really put a ton of energy into protecting and, cultivating exactly what you want. Right? Like outside of, like, I mean, obviously circumstances can shift things. But for the large majority, you have a lot of control around what you cultivate in the postpartum,
Mm-hmm.
far more than the birth. So,
Yep.
yeah. So I guess within your postpartum right now, my question would be like, what are you so glad that you prepared for? Like, what is reaping the most fruit for you at the moment?
Oh, I mean, on a very basic level, just ensuring that there was adequate support in place for me to be able to hold up in her bedroom for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my baseline, that I will be able to step out of all of my normal responsibilities and roles for basically 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Which that alone requires a fair amount of preparation for most of us. Like I think it's just worth saying that we don't live in a culture that is going to hand us this on a silver platter, like at all. Like we have to really fight for it and like make it happen because no one is going to give it to us.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, I know that so many people, their husbands get like sometimes just days off.
Mm-hmm.
Mine gets 2 weeks and then like a third week to kind of do halftime, like kind of like melt back in. But even if your husband does have time off, there's the work of making sure that you're on the same page and that the value is placed on it so that he can persevere in doing his part of that without getting resentful or burnt out because it's hard on him.
Yeah.
So my husband, I mean, this is our 6th, so we've been through this a few times and we have had those conversations and he does get it. And even though it does get really hard for him, he's committed. But then we also realized after our 5th baby that calling in extra help people like a postpartum doula. We spent money on the postpartum doula instead of a birth doula now. Like that's, that matters more to me.
Absolutely.
Which I think you've shared that sentiment. Like when you finally have one, you're like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Mm-hmm. So much that.
And then, like if you have mothers or mothers-in-law, like it takes a team, really. So our team is our postpartum doula, my husband, my mom, and my sister-in-law has really been stepping up to the plate in some significant ways too. So, and then even my older children, you know, like prepping them to like, mom's going to be kind of out of commission for a minute and we're a team as a family and everyone's going to kind of have to help each other out to get through this time. And this is why it matters. And here's how you can help.
Yeah. So here is why it matters. I think that's such an important, thing. You just talked about talking to your husband and your children about that. But we probably have listeners who are like, that sounds extreme. 2 weeks. Like, what are you talking about? And so like, why is this important? As you said, it's something I'm super passionate about as well. And I'm always telling my clients, traditional Chinese medicine and just ancient medicine across the globe in various cultures will tell you the first 42 days affects the next 42 years of your life, right? Like this is a time that you can literally use as a reset and like you can heal chronic issues in this period and you can create chronic issues in this period. And so it really is, if we recognize birth as this opening, we are now open, right? Like you did the opening, expanded in all the ways in pregnancy, you have this baby, you're completely open. And in this postpartum, you are open and it's the closing. And like what you close around really matters. And so you can close around, this beauty, like you're closing around peace and this support and and all of the warmth, all of those things, and really closing around that. Or you can be busy and chaotic and trying to fit all of this stuff in, and that's what you're going to close around. And so I really like that picture, and it helps me visually to recognize this is why it's important. Because on a holistic, long view, it's going like this, your postpartum is going to affect your menopause. Like your postpartum is going to affect how you transition in womanhood. And, like that's the long view, but even the short-term views of like how long you bleed for and postpartum depression and moving into like setting a new tone for the new normal if your family has expanded. And, it's very short-term and very long-term how we honor this time. And so that is where I really like to set, women up for success in preparing for being able to close around this piece. So I say, and I kind of take it, if postpartum is that 40 days that, like I divide those 6 weeks up to I like to say and encourage an ideal of 2 weeks in the bed, 2 weeks around the bed, 2 weeks around the house. And then some people I have heard use that and they do the 5-5-5, 5 days in the bed, 5 days around the bed, 5 days around the house. And so it's like, these are kind of these two ideals that people put out there. But what are you going to promise for yourself, right? Because it doesn't have to be dogmatic. And so I have like a postpartum worksheet that it's like, okay, what are you going to promise? How many days are you going to put in your bed? And how many days are you going to just kind of be in your space around the bed is kind of what that means. Like just in your space, but you're not doing anything. You're not going far away. You're pretty close to your sanctuary that you've developed. And, how many days are you going to be just like, I'm home. I'm not venturing out, but I am maybe venturing past my little curated sanctuary of my bedroom. And so like, what do those look like? And what are you going to fit in there? And why are you making that promise to yourself? Versus just going, my midwife said 2-2-2, so this is what I'm going to do. Because when the stir crazy hits, you're going to have a why that you come back to. So,
all right, Lauren, once again, this is us being on the same page and having handouts that do the same things without knowing it.
Right.
I love it. It's so great. That why piece, that's something I have my students write down too, is like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And how long are you going to do each of those phases and all that? Yeah. Because I hit the stir crazy point a couple days ago. It was like,
it gets real. Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of tired of being in this room. Like, I can hear my kids outside playing in the sun, and I can hear my husband like struggling downstairs, and like I want to help him, and I want to get some fresh air, and just really had to do that a couple of days ago. Like come back to my why and kind of reset a little bit because I was sort of losing the focus. Yeah, to reset with my husband, and just like circle the wagons, and like remember why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real. And it feels so silly because it's privilege. Like being able to make this happen for oneself is somewhat a privilege, right? Like, I'm aware that not everyone can have this. So I feel weird complaining about it. And yet it just is what it is. Sometimes we choose good things and following through on those good things becomes difficult. And I think knowing that ahead of time is important. So you're not blindsided by that, Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. It's okay to have that privilege, right? Like it's okay to use that in a sense that's like, this is, honestly, if you were in the under the Levitical law, it was like required rest. Like this is something that the Lord set up. And so like, I don't know, I struggle with the word privilege because like everything is privilege, honestly. The fact that we're eating 3 meals a day and snacks in between is privilege. But that doesn't mean it's not a necessity as well, right? So
I just wish it could be for all women,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's that is definitely the thing that we, it's like trying to set that up and doing the planning ahead of time so that you can. And so what is... I guess kind of like, what do you do to prepare for that? Like if you set your why and you set your goals of what it is, what that postpartum is going to look like. And then it's like, okay, what do you need to think about and actually put in motion, right? To cultivate that. So,
I bet between the two of us, we're going to generate a good long list.
I'm sure we will. I am sure we will. So Obviously, like rest is the key here, right? And I think about rest and nourishment and warmth. Like those are my three. A good postpartum has those three things: rest, nourishment, warmth. And so rest.
That's a way to summarize that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think almost everything you can put in one of those categories.
Yeah.
So that rest, skin to skin with your baby, nourishing with ideally warm, easily digestible foods, nice herbal teas, other things that kind of fit in that nourishment can also be the people that you bring around you. Like, are they nourishing to your soul, or are they like pulling from you, right? Like, so are they coming and bringing support? Are they bringing emotional support? Or do you have someone that's there to listen to you and sit on the edge of your bed as you process your birth story, as you coo over your baby? Or is there someone there to, feed your children, to take care of the home, to support your husband, because he's also in a postpartum. Like he didn't give birth, but his whole life has shifted as well. And so he needs that support. He needs time to have some oxytocin, bonding with his baby skin to skin. And so I think about all of those things also, like on a practical level of the warmth, like warming baths, steams, yoni steams, warming teas, good cozy socks, and, nice, what if you're going to be clothed, my ideal is like a robe that I can be completely open to have baby skin to skin, but I can easily wrap myself up or wrap baby in that robe. Especially as I'm like, if I'm getting out of the bed for the most part, those first 2 weeks, I just don't need to put clothes on unless it's a robe. But, just those warming things. I actually really do not like the cold padsicles and those things that are very popular. I speak against those. They don't fall into that rest, nourish, warmth. They are creating a numbness, but they're delaying healing. They're preventing any of that. Maybe they kind of prevent like swelling and it's very Western mindset around bringing some numbness. So it might feel good, but it actually causes at length, it prevents the body from being able to heal and restore, which we do with warmth. And so actually in most other cultures, they think it's crazy that Americans use padsicles. So that's definitely something that is, I guess, outside of the mainstream that I really speak to, is making sure you're, bringing warm compresses or herbal peri bottles, yoni steams for the first 30 days after the first 4 days. You can start yoni steaming for daily for the first 30 days there. So yeah, but those are the kind of the things that first jump out to me. Anything
It's really good stuff
for you?
Yeah, I was just gonna first say I made padsicles last few times and then like just didn't want to use them. I was like, I don't want these. So this time I was finally like, why am I making them? I'm not using them. I'm not even gonna make them.
Yep.
But some of the things you list are so great, and I have not been able to do them, or I should say that differently. I did not pre-plan a way to make those things happen, such as yoni steaming, which is a relatively new idea to me, and I don't have that set up. I mean, I think I learned about it first during my last pregnancy, but I have never figured out an at-home setup, and I did not prioritize figuring that out for this postpartum period.
I wish I'd known that. I would totally left you stuff.
I didn't even think to ask you about it. We should have talked about that while you were here. But, but I do enjoy like a warm herbal bath, like herbal sense bath, sometimes with the baby. I really do enjoy that. And I don't know. I'm looking at my nightstand right here because I'm in my bed right now while we're recording this episode. And I just have all these various like tincture bottles and homeopathy bottles and essential oil bottles there. I tend to take seriously like choosing different supportive plant medicines, I guess, to have on hand to use kind of intuitively. I'm not very like prescriptive about it. Just like today I feel like I need this, and today in this moment I think I need this. So that's something I have set up really well. Even the simple act of making sure that I own a serving tray.
Yes.
It feels like a symbolic way of saying like I'm going to be served during this time. And so we actually have a tray that we were given at our wedding that has been the postpartum serving tray for all of our babies. So that's really special
so precious.
to me. It's like this turquoise round metal tray from Target. It just goes up and down the stairs many times a day with meals on it.
Yeah.
And the meals, that alone can be a big one. Like, where are they going to come from, right?
Right.
So, and the bigger your family gets, the more complicated that gets, because meal trains get more intimidating for people the bigger the family is, and I'm fully aware of that. So finding that balance between like taking a little bit of a leap of faith into your community that they're going to show up and help nourish you, while also preparing some freezer meals. Because you're not going to get nourished in your bed if there isn't food there to nourish you with. So you have to find a flow of the food into the home. Some husbands may be culinary geniuses and whip up feasts for you every day, but in my experience, it's not true for many of us. So, and then this time I did something I've never done, which is I got a dorm fridge in my bedroom.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It was an idea that a friend gave me. And then it's stocked with some of my favorite snacks and like kombucha.
Yeah.
And then if I collect some milk, I can put my milk right in the fridge there instead of have somebody run it down.
Yeah.
It's been really nice. I'm really liking that.
That's awesome. I had thinking of like appliances by the bed type of thing. I like the fridge. I had a tea kettle next to mine, and I got like a nice electric tea kettle, and I stocked my teas right next to my bed. And then I had, just a full snack basket as well. Because man, you get so hungry during postpartum.
So hungry.
I feel like I am like a monster eating all of the food. And just especially
that's why I did
in the middle of
my
the
husband
night.
Cannot go up and down the stairs this many times a day for me. Yeah. Like there needs to be food in the room.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So having food in the room was definitely a huge thing. And then also like having that warm tea that I wanted to have constantly, but also felt like I have to always be asking for another cup of tea. And so I just had the tea kettle there with all of these like really warming. I picked a bunch of like different warming tea blends, some chais and some tulsi chai, and I don't know, some various like Ayurvedic type of choices. And then I had the golden milk prepped in the fridge.
Oh, nice.
Bone broths. I had this special soup mug because I was like, okay, I had my serving tray was one of the table trays. And so it has the little legs that I would put out so that I could be nursing the baby and still have food close to me. Yeah. And then the soup mug. Yeah. Then the soup mug, because it is so much easier. Like if you've got one hand holding a baby, it's like I can just sip my soup. Yes. So thinking about things of like, okay, what do I need to be able to do these things one-handed?
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely some of those like, okay, what do I need as far as physical things to be able to cultivate this picture I've got in my head.
Can you hear him?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I love that kettle idea. I actually had that idea a few days ago. I was like, why did I not get a kettle up here?
Yeah, well, you have that kettle downstairs. You should just have it brought up.
Yeah, well, my husband uses it every morning for his coffee, sometimes twice a day. So I was like, I should have just gotten a second one, or I don't know. Not really too late, I guess, but because I have been wishing for more tea than I feel like I can.
Then you can get it. Yeah, exactly. Because it's just at some point you start feeling like I'm being a princess, calling for all of the things of my little bell, you know?
Yep. Absolutely. I just said that to my postpartum doula today. I was like, I'm feeling a little bit like a princess up here.
Yeah. Yep. So
But
what you can do to mitigate some of that is really helpful. And also makes you feel a little more sustainable.
yeah. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So I think thinking of some other, modalities that you can bring in when you think about postpartum doula. Does your doula bring any specific modalities with her? Are you reaching out for anything else like yoni? You already mentioned that you're not using the yoni steam, but maybe
Right.
like castor oil packs or moxibustion or dry brushing or
No, she's not
any of
trained in
those
those
things.
things at this point. So it's pretty, like, in terms of like the kind of like hands-on modalities, it's pretty sparse around here. I guess I don't tend to like crave it, nor do I have a lot of experience with it, so I probably don't know what I'm missing. So yeah, like I actually bought like wraps, like abdominal wraps this time. They're still sitting in my closet. I haven't even gotten them out to use them. I do have like a belly butter, like a warming, like belly butter that is meant to go under a belly bind, but I haven't been doing the belly binding. I've only been doing the butter
Yeah.
a couple times a day to myself, just rubbing my own belly with it and
Yeah, absolutely.
thanking my body for the work it just did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I would love to hear more from you about those modalities because I know they are ones that you offer and have experienced more than
absolutely.
me. So tell more about that.
So I love the vaginal steaming, yoni steaming, whatever you want to call that. And I definitely notice a massive healing, just like feeling like that reset and the my uterus clamping down just back to its normal size and less bleeding and just even milk production, all of those things just really being a beautiful benefit of those. It also just feels like a spa. Like you're just bringing warmth to your body and using specific herbs that can really support all of that, return of the warmth and reset and closing. You also do just kind of like full body, like breathing, like deep breathing into your core, and like that 360 breathing so that you're really pushing your air all the way through, and really reactivating your pelvic floor in that way. So that's something that I always do. Moxibustion and castor oil packs, again, just bringing some stimulation and warmth to the body. You can do the patting and dry brushing to like move the lymph system and circulation. So those are definitely some things, then like chiropractic care. It's like the only thing that I leave my house for in postpartum is to have myself and my baby seen by the chiropractor. If I had had other options, I would have used those like in-home chiropractic or CST or myofascial. Are definitely things that I would lean into more and probably prepare more going forward if I do have another baby. I don't know if we will, but like especially having those things ready for baby to have even more so than myself, having those in the wings, should they need that, because honestly most babies do need some myofascial work or cranial sacral work. Chiropractic is kind of the most easily obtained though. So yeah, those are kind of those external modalities. Obviously herbs and homeopathy are some things that I lean into, especially like after birth pains, which I'm just going to say I'm slightly jealous that you don't feel after birth pains, because what?
I know.
That is like miraculous to my brain. They have
No, I
definitely
always buy
gotten
the after use tincture and then never use it.
never. Yeah, I typically use motherwort and skullcap, or homeopathy if it's well matched. My skullcap was the one that really helped me in my last afterbirth. That was the one that just was like the remedy. Cramp bark is another good one. And I personally like to use single because then I know exactly what it is that my body is using. So those are the ones that I typically have on hand: motherwort, skullcap, and cramp bark. And then normally I'm drinking like red raspberry teas as well. But those are kind of or motherwort's also great for supporting the heart emotionally as well as physically. So that's a good one. If you've got a little bit of some postpartum blues or grief going on, motherwort's a great ally. So
I do love having that one. I have that one on my nightstand too.
Yeah.
And I know this is a blend, but the Rebalance tincture by Wish Garden has become my fave.
Yeah.
The two
What's in that one?
The two postpartums I've used this for have been my most emotionally stable.
What's
it's
in
for hormonal rebalancing. So it's Vitex berry, lady's mantle, black hawbark, calendula flower, St. John's wort, motherwort aerials, burdock root, and yarrow aerials.
Yeah, that sounds
but
like
for whatever
a beautiful
reason,
blend.
For me, it works very, very nicely. I noticed a huge difference.
I can see that. It's a beautiful
I haven't had
formula.
night sweats. I haven't had in the past for me, the day my milk comes in is usually a day I cry a lot. And the two two postpartums that I've used that blend for, I didn't cry on the day my milk came in. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So wonderful support to have there. Yeah.
And then this time, thanks to you and Heather, I got Arnica 200C because the body aches. That's surreal. I almost forget about it every time, how much your body can just kind of feel achy, you've just had a really massive workout for the first time in a year or something. Yeah. And the Arnica felt really nice once I got that on board this time. It helped a ton.
Yeah. Now, I would say, caveat, I guess, I love that helped you not have to cry in that time. But I'd also say, I think it's so important that we allow ourselves to feel all of the things. Yeah. And that it's very normal to feel just kind of this juxtaposition of great joy, great grief. And that's very normal. And it's okay to feel the feelings. Just don't let them lie to you. But cry if you need to cry, talk if you need to talk, laugh if you need to laugh. Share your story and what's on your heart with a trusted ear. Those are the things that I definitely think are just as important and part of that nourishment piece of postpartum.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I don't mean to imply that one ought to stuff or like try to numb out one's feelings.
Yeah. I don't think that you did. I think you were just expressing that you felt balanced.
It was just, I feel like in the past it's been like the PMS kind of crying, where like the hormones are so overwhelming that amplify whatever feelings you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And make them feel, and it just kind of seems to like level that out a little bit. So it's not that I'm emotionally flat. It's more, it just feels a little more level, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, but that was a really good caveat.
I think that it's such an important season to be able to because again, if we're not releasing that, that's what we're going to close around, right? Yeah. So, and it's a big transformative event that has just happened, and it's a beautiful thing. But there's some realness and some rawness being that open and vulnerable, and so it's okay to feel all that,
to emote. Yeah, and I would add to that on a related note, I think another good argument for having this time tucked away is that we have time to process our stories. And it's felt really urgent to me almost after each birth to have time to write my story, to give it words, to give it a space to exist outside of myself and to be shared, either in writing or vocally. And then to just notice what sticking points I might have about the story. Like, are there any parts that still feel a little prickly, like they just landed a little off? And then what do I need to do to kind of like finish that, like close that stress cycle? I don't know. So for instance, with this most recent birth, the manual removal of my placenta is something that feels sticky to me. Like, I'm like, that's like, I didn't feel traumatized psychologically by it, but my body is remembering it. I'm noticing.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, ooh, I have some work to do there to kind of like, release the physicality of that trauma in my body, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
So exploring things like, just EFT, kind of tapping through that a little bit and kind of looking for some other ways that I might be able to do that. So if we rush back into the world and jump right back into the fray, we never have a chance to get in touch with those things.
Yeah.
Or to tell our story. It just gets plowed over and
and then it's there.
Not integrated. Like, it's not integrated into our experience and our So it needs space to breathe and to be integrated.
Yeah. Otherwise you close around it.
Yeah.
And it will come up later and it will be harder to excavate out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know I have in my little postpartum workbook, I mentioned like approach the stillness with an open heart, and like anything that feels too burdensome or heavy or requires effort, that you just say no, because there's so much else going on that feels like you don't get to do that inner work if there's all of this external things, because you have to be still to kind of go, oh, wow, that does feel a little tender still. That does feel, but I also find that it's such a precious time. It can be such a precious time with the Lord, of just like letting him speak to you and being in this like time of like really journaling and listening for his still small voice. And I find that some women will really tap into their dreams and their like just the musings that can come out. There's so much coming out because you're so open that you can not do anything with, but just hold and like meditate on his word and really allow this new season, like kind of be able to like speak over the new season and speak over their name and their blessing and, and just really be in the stillness. Because I think it's like, there's so much that comes in at that time. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yep. And venturing out too soon, it feels so vulnerable. I remember with my second baby, we closed on a house when he was 5 days old. So I had to leave the house to go sign the papers. And it's just, I mean, some women, it seems like they don't feel this. I'm like, are you not paying attention to your own body? It feels so vulnerable because you are so open and like going out into the cold, hard world that doesn't have any idea of the miracle that you just lived through. Just feels like, I mean, I couldn't wait to get home. I could not wait to get home. And even, here's another benefit of staying home is learning your baby. Like, no two babies are the same. And if you jump back into the normal pace of your life, you don't have the attentiveness required to learn your baby. And like, what does that sound mean? When he does that with his face, what does that mean? Like, how long does he nurse and how often? And it's just like a stranger. You've just birthed a stranger and you have to get to know them and you have to be quiet enough to hear them because they don't communicate with words. So it's such a strong foundation for your relationship with your child going forward.
Absolutely.
To take that time to really learn them and get in sync with them. And like, you're literally synchronizing your nervous systems too. So that you, then when you do jump back into the fray, you're more attuned to your baby, even when you're busy again.
And that's so important for their growth. So important that you're attuned, like attunement.
And for trust between trust and attunement.
Like they need that.
The foundation.
They need that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's a foundation of attachment theory, right? Like,
yes, absolutely.
Attachment theory is attunement, essentially. Like, is the mother attuned to the child from early on and responsive to them, appropriately responsive? So,
yes, I think of
this postpartum lying in is when we get to set those wheels in motion of attunement and attachment. So,
absolutely, I think of Adam Young in the 6 pieces, the big 6, he calls it, that every child needs from their parents. And it's attunement, responsiveness, engagement, ability to regulate, and I'm trying to remember the other ones. But he's got a great podcast called
The Place We Find Ourselves.
The Place We Find Ourselves.
Yeah, it is a good one. Cindy, you introduced me to that. You too.
Yes, such a good one. Yeah. But he talks so much. There's actually a podcast specifically on attunement, and how much our babies need that. They need us to look into their eyes and respond to what they're feeling, and and it really sets their brain development and their growth and their emotional health for like their whole life. We can really lay a firm foundation for them. So
so it's not just for us, it's for our babies too that we do this,
absolutely.
Right? Like,
your babies need you, and you need your baby, and I also want to say, like, if for any reason this was like you didn't know about it, so you didn't do it, or there was maybe some kind of NICU journey that robbed you, or any of those things, like, you can reset. You can take that time to say, you know what, I didn't even, I will dare say, and even say, even if you're 2-3 years out, like, I don't, like, whatever, just, you can reset and say, you know what, I'm going to plan a postpartum, because your postpartum just means post-birth. Like, you are post-birth, no matter what the outcome was, no matter, even if you have baby in your arms, like, you are post this birth. And so you can take that time and put it on your calendar to say, I'm going to redo this, and I'm going to reconnect with this reset period. And while yes, there's obviously some physical things that may not be occurring at that point in time, there is emotional stuff that you can release and really give that to yourself and really give that to your baby. So like I've seen women redo the breast crawl because they didn't get that done, or going home after a home birth transfer, and and getting into the birth pool and having an herbal bath, and just like retelling that story and reframing and allowing to like reset, right? Like we're not like obviously changing outcome of what it was. Like, you still are moving within whatever happened, but you can let your body heal, and you can let go of that cellular trauma, and you can say, this is what's in my control now. And so this is how I'm going to handle that. So it's never too late to bring healing and wholeness and close around goodness.
Yes. Were you eavesdropping on my conversation with my students today? Because we literally were talking about this today.
I was not. I love that.
Yeah. One of the gals had like a NICU disruption, to her postpartum, and I was just saying, here's an idea, like a redemption idea. What if you got a date on the calendar to stay the day in bed? Yeah. You had your food brought to you, and you got skin to skin, and you took a nap with your baby, and you took a bath. But like any of the things that feel right to you that you wished had been part of your postpartum, like, can you spend a day or the whole weekend just building those things and giving that to yourself? And I got to participate in a kind of birth reenactment, I guess, last year, or was it earlier this year, for a client who had really wanted a water birth, and it didn't happen, and so we made it happen. Like a week later, we got out the birth pool, and her kids had missed the birth too. She really had wanted them to be there, so we got the kids involved, and they basically enacted the birth in the water and spent some time in the pool together, and I took pictures, and it was really special, and kind of closed for her something that just needed some closure,
Yeah, I've done that for a few people.
It's so special.
It can be really just reclaiming what feels like maybe was stolen. And yeah, and I was a NICU mom for one of mine, and did really have to like reset my postpartum when we did get home. And so even though I was a week out, he was in the NICU for 5 days. It was like, you know what, we're going to still do it. We're still doing the 2 weeks. We're starting as if day one, and even though we weren't. And I really took extra time because I felt like I needed extra time than I had originally planned because of being in the hospital for 5 days and walking around and, you know, and just, yeah. I literally cringed what I ended up having to put my body through because it was a necessity. And
NICU does not make it easy for new moms.
Right.
Like, it's terrible. But yeah. So you needed extra healing time from that, I'm sure. Yeah.
So I just gave myself that permission to like reset and have extra time in the bed and extra time really. And I needed it. Like, you know, so anyway, that was, those are definitely the things that I think about as far as postpartum. Is there anything else you think of when you're thinking about postpartum planning or being in?
Yeah, some random smatterings. I think we should talk about our pelvic floors and how that's another reason for lying in is to not put undue stress on our pelvic floors immediately. If you don't want to have prolapses and such as you get older.
Right.
So even when you're in the bed, it's easy to feel like in the bed should be like sitting on your bed, but ideally getting horizontal.
Yes.
Like lying in your bed.
Great. Yeah. Anything that is putting pressure on your pelvic floor needs to be limited. No sitting up and taking stairs. Like if you are in a home where there's a lot of stairs to get to the bedroom, thinking about what that looks like, especially if there's like a trek to a bathroom, what does that look like? And really kind of, protecting your pelvic floor, because all of those things, and I think that that's really good. You know, you just did this amazing thing, took a ton of strength, like physical strength. And there's also that relaxin that like loosened all the ligaments. Like that's not gone away yet. Like it's still very present in the body. You're still very open and loose. And what you're doing physically, you know, you can keep your pelvic floor and all your abdomen and, you know, keep yourself all out of alignment. If you're doing a ton of stairs and lifting baskets and bending over and, you know, all of those things. So that's a real physical need for the postpartum rest is to prevent those like DRs and to prevent, you know, prolapse and all that for sure.
I mean, your organs are like literally shifting inside of your body. Again,
everything is going back to where it's at, where it used to be.
And your core is usually a bit unstable. It's not strong yet, and it just needs TLC. And it has to be okay.
Yep, absolutely.
And the other topic I thought we should hit on is visitors. This one comes up a lot when I'm talking with new moms.
Yes.
I have so many people want to come see the baby, and I'm kind of overwhelmed by it, and I want to see them, but I also don't know if I do. And for me, I kind of think about, like, in my mind, I haven't like written this on paper, but I have like a circle diagram, and there's a circle in the middle that's my inner circle. Those are my people who I am so close to and so safe with that I don't have to perform or be guarded around, as well as my birth team will be the inner circle. Those people can come in the first few days, as long as they come with intention to be helpful. And usually these people will, because that's why they're in your safe circles, because you know that they can be trusted to have boundaries and to come with an intention to bless you, not to take from you. So
these might even be people that aren't necessarily in your inner circle in the rest of your life, right?
That's true. Like, yep, absolutely.
It's not common, but it is a possibility that somebody in your, you know, extended circle is really honoring and warm, you know, a warm person for your postpartum and will be willing to be in that space, even though maybe on the day-to-day they're not in the inner circle. So keep an open mind to that maybe your closest, maybe you're really close to your mom or your sister, but they're not that either.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay to have space there.
Yep. Good point.
So
and then there's like a ring outside of that, right? That's like a step outside. Like you're happy to see them. You want them to meet the baby. They don't like put you in like fight or flight mode, like, and so maybe like starting week 2, you can have 1 or 2 of those people over per day for a brief visit. And then outside of that is kind of like the acquaintances who have curiosity and are excited about your baby because everybody's excited about a new baby, but you're not ever going to guarantee them a visit. Like if they want to bring over food, that's great, but you're not going to like say for sure, come into my sanctuary and hold my baby. Like,
right.
You just, I don't know. Like they can start trickling in like week 3.
Yeah, it needs to be the same as what you would think about like them visiting your birth, right? Like, are you comfortable with them seeing you naked? Are you comfortable with them seeing you in a diaper? Like, are you comfortable with them seeing you
cry?
Yeah. Do you want them to hold your baby? Like all of those things needs to be, like, who do you envision being allowed in your space and to visit and to help? And like, are they warm people? Are they going to be bringing nourishment to you? Or are they going to be taking nourishment from you? Because right now you are open, you are raw, everything is spilled out. And the only person you should be giving to at this point in time in this season is your baby. So that's the like those first couple days, that first week, you're not to be giving out to others. So
if it's somebody who's going to come in and want to just hold your baby for an hour while they're wearing strong perfume and they expect you to go get them a snack from the kitchen, not a good choice.
No energy vampires, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there really can be like family members who you love and adore, but they just don't get this. Like they don't get it. And so it's okay to say to them, we'll let you know when we're ready, and have that date be a week or 2 out from when you give birth. And you don't have to be apologetic about that.
Do you think that, sometimes if it's going to be if you're sitting here going, I don't know how I'm going to have that conversation with this person, because maybe they are an inner circle person, but they're not an inner circle person, right? So if you're thinking that, I would suggest writing out your boundaries, figuring those out, and then maybe looking at those with your husband and then rewriting them I would say write them out with no holds bar. What you actually need can be harsh, can be like just permission. Like, what is it that you need? And then come together with your husband, kind of review, edit that rough draft of like, okay, how can I say this diplomatically? How can I say this in love? How can I show them that this is my why and this has nothing to do with them? I really want to, I've been learning about honoring the postpartum. I really want to honor the postpartum. I've really decided that the first, week or 2, I'm not going to let anyone in our space that I don't feel comfortable being naked with. And I don't want to put on clothes for people. And so I love you, father-in-law, but I'm going to be naked. So you probably don't want to be around, whatever it is, right? Like, explain your why. And like, this isn't about you. This is about what I'm needing to connect with my baby. I've learned a lot about bonding. I've learned a lot about, attunement. I've learned a lot about rest and making sure that my body is healthy. And this is what I need. And, we will let you know when we're, opening the door up for more visitors, or letting you know when we can schedule you to come over. But it's not going to be an open door policy this time, and especially if it's not the first time. And this is like I think it's harder if you've had 2 or 3 babies and there's kind of like a precedent already set. It's like, well, we've always done, that it can be like, what, we have always done this, but I've learned some different things and I really want to honor this time. So, and I think just putting it out as your why, knowing your why and then being able to share your why makes it not about, them. And then you can be like, thank you for respecting this, I appreciate that you don't understand, but that you're honoring it anyways. Thank you for that. And really like recognizing their desire to be a part of the family is real and kind and all of that, right? Like, and I think that helps prevent unnecessary tension in the families and close friends.
That's really excellent advice. Very well said. Yeah. Yeah, how we communicate those things makes all the difference for like how it lands with our loved ones. And so that was really good counsel.
Yeah. So I think the other thing, I mentioned earlier, just like spending some time with the Lord, also thinking about like what prayers you might want to be praying in this time, or praying over your baby and your healing, and just integrating the spiritual side of things of postpartum as well, which also kind of brought me back to that book that you've been reading. Is there any good review you'd want to give on that?
Yeah, so this is the first book of its kind that I am personally aware of.
Yeah.
So when I saw it, I was like, ooh, definitely going to check that out. It's called A Sacred Beginning. I'll put it in the show notes. I can't see the author's name right now. It's sitting on my floor. But the subtitle is Nurturing Your Body, Mind, and Soul During Baby's First 40 Days. And it's written by two Orthodox Christian moms. So I'm not Orthodox, but so I will say, like, there's a reading for each day of your first 40 days. There's about 3 to 4 pages, so it's very easy. And it usually has some like reflections about like what you might be going through on that day with your baby or in your body, and some holistic kind of like insights and suggestions, and usually some small spiritual practice suggested. So it's really lovely. And I will say that as somebody who's not Orthodox, there are some parts that I don't connect with as well, partly because I just don't really know. But like they'll talk about patron saints, or like your priests. Apparently on the 8th day is the first day your priest says your baby's name in prayer or something. So there's like these like kind of very specific to Orthodoxy traditions that don't resonate with me personally. But even with that, I think it's been a really nice companion. I'm really enjoying it to have around this time, and like just reading that in the morning while I wait for my breakfast, and
so is it set up like a devotional then? Like you go through it during the 40 days, not like pre-read it?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
A reading for each day. So it just really does feel like a little companion,
That's like, beautiful.
This morning I get to read my day 11 meditation, and it's been really insightful too. Like I feel like it sees moms and postpartum accurately, like in terms of the way it describes some of the thoughts and feelings and fears and experiences and that you might be having that day. So I would say I would recommend. Yeah.
Awesome. I definitely.
But it made me wish. I'm wishing that somebody would make a deck of affirmations for postpartum. We need to work on that. Would that be good?
Yeah, I have one. I do have a deck of postpartum affirmations. I don't love it. I don't hate it. There's a decent amount of it that I like, but there is, there's some of it that just doesn't resonate well for me. But overall, like I would say, I'd give it like 95% of it is really great. And I mean, enough that I hand them out to my clients and such.
Yeah.
So
I mean, in most affirmation decks, there's a few that don't hit as well. I usually take some out.
Right. So it's kind of one of those as far as like on the Christian versus the New Age type of thing. Like there's some of those kind of that land that you're like, not sure that fits with my belief system, but thanks.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
It's that kind of stuff that you find in the birth world. Yep. But yeah, there are some good postpartum decks out there, I think.
Excuse me, I'll have to hunt them down.
Yeah.
Oh, and then before we end this episode, I wanted to ask you if you would read, as if you've been listening for a while, dear listeners, you'll know that Lauren has this kind of like model or theory of understanding the childbearing year through the 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And so postpartum is the winter. And would you be willing to share your musings on that?
Yeah, for sure. So I have written a post on that's on my Instagram. But literally, I have really seen how, we have these inner cycles in our body, and women are really designed to cycle with the lunar calendar, as the earth, cycles, and as as we see the seasons, and through our menses, we have those cycles that happen, these inner seasons. And I had learned a lot about that, and I began to just really see this unfolding of the inner seasons of pregnancy, which go through to fall into postpartum being winter. And I just really see, the winter is this time of reset for the soil. It's the time, like in the autumn, we have the covering, and it's to cover the ground to keep, and as that covering, it actually heats up, right? Like that soil begins to heat up, and it decomposes that's what's covered, and prepares the soil for the spring. And I just see that happening in the body of we needing that warmth to reset for our next fertility that will come. Like this is the time of rest, of just this cold, dark reset that is winter. And I see that it's the same for postpartum. It's the place of warming. It's the hormone levels are taking this decline. It's the season of kind of mourning as the womb empties. We talk about this like very subtle grief of postpartum blues, that you have the birth of your child and this beautiful new season. But it's also the end of a season prior. And it's that transformation of your family, of what your family was before this child. And there's a level of like grief to that. And that's okay. That we can hold both, our gratefulness for this new baby, but like grieving that, your no baby life, or grieving the one child life, or the, whatever like there's this expansion. And so
or your previous baby not being your baby anymore.
And your previous baby, because that phenomena that happens where all the babies all of a sudden are like legit 2 years older than they were like 2 seconds ago.
Yep.
They do that. And so there's this like subtle grief that happens. And, like we look at winter and like there's this like this darkness and this like, it's the time that like even seasonal grief and depression come up for people. Right. And I think that there is a place that we can kind of lean in and feel what we need to feel and not accept any lies from that, and then move forward so that we can move forward without that, right? Like that we can go forward in health and in wholeness. And so the end of that pregnancy, it's like honoring holding your child all to yourself. And now you have to share this child. Now you have to share them with your husband, and you have to share them with the other family members, and eventually the world. And, I see that postpartum, when you do this lying in period really slowly, you are just getting to share them. Okay, just with my inner circle, just with the outer circle. Now I'm sharing them just with, and eventually you recognize that you're going to have to send this child out into the world, right? Like that is parenting. And this is that like slow of, you just had this child where it was just you and Jesus and this baby within your body, right? Like it was just your spirit, just this child's spirit, just the Holy Spirit. And now they're outside of you, and there's that severing of the cord, and there's this very much like that can make someone sad, right? Like with the mother heart, it like, oh, they're still so much a part of you. They're still needing your nourishment. They're still needing to be on you chest to chest. But like there's a degree of separation that has occurred, and that brings up some grief And that's okay and beautiful to like, grief is not everything. And so I see that as a part of that winter. I also see it as this each year the earth goes through a death and a rebirth of the soil and of the, like the land needs to rest, and God makes it, they do it every year. And so there's this same thing. It's a season of birth and let dying off what needs to let go so that you can close up and you can rebirth this next season of your life, this next transformation. And so I say it's a season of returning and introspection, of finality, and yet also a preparation for a completely new beginning. And so just like you can picture a warm night cuddled up by a warm fire with a cup of a warm beverage or a hot soup, or in the company of someone that you love and feel safe with, like that is the atmosphere that I want women to cultivate for their postpartum. That cuddled up with only somebody they feel safe with a warm crackling fire and a warm cup of goodness, and just being nourished, body and soul and spirit.
I love that. That's so helpful. Really useful for framing the big picture of the postpartum season.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Well,
this baby's getting noisier by the second.
I think that you have spent enough time of your precious postpartum sharing with me and your listeners. So I'm going to let you and Gilbert get settled back in, which you never left your bed, but
no, I didn't.
That you
diaper
get settled
changes and
there.
Breastfeeding await us. So.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for this great chat.
Yes. All right, friend. I will see you later.
You want to close it in prayer?
Absolutely.
I'll mute Gilbert.
Okay. Sweet Jesus, I just thank you. I thank you for the insights around postpartum and the gift that postpartum is. A sweet, slow season to enter into with our baby as we integrate into the world again. And Lord, I just ask a special blessing over Brooke's postpartum, since she is very much in the thick of that you would give her and all of our postpartum listeners, that you would give them your peace, and that you would give them your presence, God, that you would just surround them in rest and nourishment and warmth, and that you would just surround their home and allow their families to integrate well. This new little one that has joined us earthside, and Lord, I just thank you. I thank you for all of the gifts that you graciously bestow upon women, that we get to birth new life into this world, that you designed it that way, and that you just invite us into so many analogies of how you work in your character. And I just thank you for that. I thank you in your great, great wisdom. You have given us seasons of rest. And I just ask for a special grace, that it might sound silly, but that they are able to rest in the rest, in the season of rest, that they are really able to settle in deep and put some roots down and be restored. And I just thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Holy Wild Birth. We hope that you were genuinely encouraged, inspired, and challenged by what you heard today. If you're loving what you hear, please make sure that you share it. Leave reviews. That helps other mamas find this content as well. And don't forget to read the show notes, okay? Because that's where you can find our email address if you want to reach out to us and start a conversation. It's also where you'll find free offerings as well as invitations to work with me and or Lauren. We can't wait to get to know you. See you next week.